Alright, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be restoring a combination square. Um, this combination square is a Lufkin uh, number 65 universal. It's in pretty good shape. It's pretty rusty, but it still slides. Everything moves. Everything's here. I've never seen one like this before. Notice does not have the spirit level in it, and it does not have a scribe. It's just a square. Pretty cool. I got it for really cheap at an estate sale. And I have a ton of squares. But every time I see them, I buy them because they're usually $1, $2 at the very most, and so I buy them. I don't know what I need 20 squares for, but I'm not gonna pass them up. So, anyways, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it apart and take all the parts off of it, and we're gonna look at getting this cleaned up. Now, again, I'm not interested in antique value. This probably doesn't have an antique value, so I don't care if I destroy the quote-unquote antique value. The one thing it does have, which is kind of a bummer, is this top part up here is broken, but I think I've got an idea on how to fix that, so we'll look at that. But it looks like it was black at one time, so it looks like I'm going to paint it black again. It doesn't really matter with where you start. I'll probably start with I'll start with the blade. So the blade itself is in pretty good shape. It's not bad. There's no real deep pitting or anything. It looks like it used to be white at one time. You can kind of see it. Oh, you can kind of see that there. But anyways, I'm not going to worry about that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to start sanding it, and I'm going to do, since this is pretty reasonably smooth, I'm going to do about a 400 or 220 up to a 400 wet. So I'm going to use magnets, and you're probably asking, why are you using magnets? Well, I put the magnets down on the table like this, and then I put my, ruler on there. Don't get your finger between your magnets and your ruler, or rule, just to make sure the machinists out there don't roll over and burst into flames. The rule, don't get your finger in between them because it hurts. Grab a block sander, 220 wet, and I am just going to lightly sand this until it's smooth. Then I'll jump up another grit and then make sure it's nice and clean. Well, that block already has 400 on it, so that's convenient. Yeah, if I can just find a 220. Well, it's 1200. That's 400. So again, I always recommend, if you're at a yard sale and you see a square, even if you have one, it never hurts to have two. And in my case, I've got, like I said, I've got about 20, and it never hurts to have that many backups. I keep them in my welding bag when I go on jobs, that sort of thing. Super handy. Here we go. Okay. So I think they're super useful. Okay, oh, this is 150 grit, but that's okay. That's okay. Alright, so set up my sanding block. For wet sanding, I don't use water on metal. I use WD-40. Some people use mineral spirits. I like WD-40, so I'm going to use that. If you like mineral spirits when you're restoring stuff, then use whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so I'm just going to take, and it's just a light spray just on there. Just rub it back and forth. And then I'm just going to go in the direction. I'm going to go long ways. Because if I go the other way, it just doesn't feel right. So you don't need a ton of pressure. So sand a little bit, and then take a rag and just wipe it off just every once in a while to check your progress. Also, if your rag has WD-40 or any kind of oil on it, make sure when you're done that you don't just leave it wadded up on the ground. Any combustible oil, solvent, that sort of thing can catch on fire, and that would suck. So just, hang it up, let it drape it over something, just to make sure it gets adequate air so it doesn't spontaneously combust. So again, just sanding back and forth. I'll do this on both sides. I'll sand it down until it's nice and smooth, then I'll jump up to a 400 and finish it out. Alright, so I've finished sanding. As you can see, there we go. As you can see, it cleaned up really nice. This blade's in good shape. So as far as I'm concerned, and it's nice and smooth. So as far as I'm concerned, it's done. I'm just going to set it off to the side, just out of my way over here. And the next step I'm going to tackle, or the next thing I'm going to tackle, is this part. So it's a real shame about this being broken up here. There's a couple of things I could do. I could just take a hacksaw and just mark it right here, and just cut it off short, which I think I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to bring it over here to my vise and just put it right in here. Actually, I don't need to do that since I'm still got to clean it. I'm going to put that right in there, like that. And I'm going to get out one of my other squares, and I'm going to scribe a line right there. Okay, so put that on there. I'm just going to go to the lowest point, make a mark, and that is where I'm going to cut this off. Put that on there. Hopefully this stuff cuts. Looks like it's cutting pretty good. Yeah, this stuff cuts great. Oops. That's fine. That came off just fine. No big deal. So now, our next step is going to be to clean up any edges just with a nice, simple file. Just go one direction. Make sure it's nice and clean. Put that up here like that. And just a slight deburr on the edges, just to make sure you don't get it caught on anything. There we go. And as you can see, we have a nice clean edge. So now what I'm going to do is I want to go through and I want to clean these edges up. And I was going to sand them, but I'm almost half tempted to draw file it. Let's try draw filing it just for fun. Just for fun. Somebody's head's probably exploding over there. Oh, you can't draw file that. You can't file that. It won't be precise. Well, first of all, it's a freaking hand square. They're not that precise anyways. They're not machinist precise. We're just going to get all the boogies off. So, if you don't like what I'm doing, it's not your square. And I'm not taking much off because I'm going to come back with a block sander. I'm going to sand the rest of that off. So, do that to all 3 sides. Take off any high spots. Looks like that's been whacked once before. So, get all these spots off here. Just like that. Now, I'm going to take a block of 400 grit. And I'm just going to start sanding. And I'm just going to continue doing this until all those lines disappear and I have a nice flat edge, or flat surface, excuse me. Okay, so now that this has all been cleaned up, I also kind of deburred these edges. They were pretty sharp. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to get all the rust off in here because I want to get it, I'm going to paint it. I was thinking about leaving it cast, but it was originally black, so I'm going to go back to the original. So basically what I'm going to do is just any rust or anything like that, or any leftover paint, I'm just going to just take it off. I'm not too worried about, like, there's not a whole lot left. This was pretty much gone when I got it. It was slightly rustier. I did throw it in a vat of vinegar before I started, just to loosen some of this rust and whatnot. But what I'm going to do is just clean off the rest of this surface. I'll just paint it back to the original black. That seems to be the trend for these. So just go through and wire brush this till it's clean and get her ready for paint. Alright, so this part of the square has been finished. It's ready for paint. So I'll mask off these edges here soon enough. But before I do that, I'm just going to again just set it off to the side and look at the hardware. Yeah. Okay, so here's our hardware that we need to address. It's pretty rusty. Just going to be some easy cleanup. Mostly just knocking surface rust off, that sort of thing. Nothing too big a deal. What I could do, actually, is take this. I could put it on here, like so, all the way down until it stops turning. There we go. And then spring I'm not going to worry too much about because it's spring steel, it's not even rusty. I'm going to actually grab out my drill real quick. Okay, and put this whole assembly in my drill here, like so. Then all I'm going to do is put my drill here and just take a wire brush and just put it on here. And just clean it. I'm not even putting hardly any pressure on this. I could even go the opposite way. Go back again. And then I can even take this off now that I've got that cleaned up. Ooh, I like that color. I might just... So there's that all cleaned up. And I honestly might just leave it that color. Just clear coat it. Now I'm just going to quickly hit the threads here. Turn this around. There. And that piece is done as well. Now, I've got all my pieces cut. Wow. I've got all my pieces finished. Now, I'm still not sure about this square. I want to paint it, but at the same time, I don't want to paint it because I really like the look of it. It's all cast. You know what? I'm just going to leave it cast. I'm just going to wire brush this really good. What I'll probably do is throw a clear coat over it, just to make sure it doesn't rust. But I'm just going to leave it the cast iron color, the raw casting. I like it. I don't have one like this, and I've got a million black ones. And even though this isn't the original color, I don't really care. I'm just going to clean this up and just wire brush this right good to a consistent sheen, and then throw some clear coat over it. So do that, and then put this all back together, and this thing's going to be done. So our pieces are all put together, or are all finished. I'm not going to paint anything. I was going to, and I just don't want to. I think this looks really cool raw casting. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush on, I'm just brushing on some mineral oil. And I'm brushing the mineral oil on so I can seal all the pores up so the casting, the raw cast, doesn't rust. This square is really neat like this. Cast iron squares are usually preferred, from what I've read, to aluminum squares because of their weight, and the material's a little more durable, so it doesn't get knocked out of square from use. I own both, and I prefer the cast iron squares myself for a lot of stuff. They don't feel as cheap, I guess. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with aluminum, but I don't know. There's just something about the cast that just feels better. So I'm putting this coat on heavy. I'll come back and wipe it off in just a little bit, but I'm just kind of putting it on everything since this is all cast. Even these edges here that are polished, it'll just help soak in. Just soak in a little bit. I'm even going to put it on all the movable parts, because the oil is just going to help this with just cutting down on resistance and rust, and it's going to aid movement. And so I'm just kind of I'm just coating everything right good, and like I said, then I will wipe it down later with or I'll wipe it down once I'm done. I'm just coating it on there right now. This does actually make a difference. Okay. Wipe it on. Or brush it on, I guess. I really want to focus on this rule, getting it in this slot here, where it hooks to the rest of the square. That's where I usually, when I get them, they're all hung up in there. So, just really make sure to get good heavy coating on this stuff. There we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back through. I'm just going to wipe these down. I'm just kind of wiping. I'm going to leave a little bit of oil on there, on the surface. Won't hurt anything. But I'm just going to wipe this all down, just like that. Ooh, that looks nice. Yeah. There we go. There we go. Square looks really cool. Really happy with that. I'm not going to wipe the oil down on that because that part slides in and out, moves around. Anywhere where I have contact with my hands, I'll wipe it down. I'm going to make sure to leave as much oil in that groove as I can. So it's just a real light wipe over the top. A light streak. Okay. Now, put this together. This goes in first, just like that. Then I'll put my spring inside my thumb screw, like that. And make sure it goes on there. There we go. Alright, now put this together. Make sure, oops, something's not right here. Uh-oh. I didn't put that on correctly. That happens. Try that again. Oh, there we go. I put the thing in backwards. That happens. Happens to the best of us. No big deal. Oops, and just throw this stuff on the ground. Throw it in the ground right on the sawdust. Again, no big deal. Okay. Try that one more time. Put that on there. There we go. Okay. Line up my square. There it goes. Oh yeah, that is smooth as silk. There she is. It locks tight. That thing. So this square is done. This universal number 65 Lufkin is ready to go back into use. And this is going to be one that I'm going to be using a lot. I really dig that cast. And I'm really glad that I decided to leave it unfinished and just the raw casting. Let's take this off here. See that up close. There it is. So if you guys have any comments on this or want to see other squares, I've got a few other squares I need to restore, or if you have any suggestions on future videos, you know, shoot me a link or shoot me a comment, and I will be more than happy to do that if I've got the tools. Otherwise, I will see you guys soon, and make sure hit the like button and subscribe. See you later.